All right, welcome back and thank you for staying with us. We'll be diving right into our newspaper review. And first off, we have the Daily Trust. Right in front, United States terror tag on Kwankwanso, Fulani groups draw scrutiny. That's on pages 3 and 4 of Daily Trust. At the top left, we have federal government probes Arik Air's engine failure. That's on page 5. Water crisis bites harder in Federal Capital Territory. That's on page 4 of the Daily Trust. Challenges before new NAHCON chairman. That's on page 11 if you want more. The Bank of Industry disburses 636 billion naira to businesses. That's on page 24. Arugungu Fishing Festival kicks off in Kebbi. That's on page 24 as well. Troops kill 16 terrorists, rescue 11 kidnapped victims in Borno. That's on page 5. We have at the bottom, questions trail deployment of 200 U.S. troops to Nigeria. That's on page 26 if you want more. Make sure you grab yourself a copy and stay informed.
Next up, we have the Punch newspaper. Religious freedom violations, APC and NPP back Kwankwanso as U.S. sanctions tension rises. U.S. Congress get bills proposing visa ban, asset seizure for ex-Kano governor, others. And that's on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Senators clash as Umahi Defense Ministry spending, and that's on page 29 of the Punch newspaper. Coup plotters will face justice, says Air Chief, and that's on page 14 of the Punch newspaper. Blackouts, 300 billion naira power lifeline for hospitals, varsities hits snag, and that's on page 19 of the Punch newspaper. Daniel Amosun absent as Abiodun endorses tinubu for 2027 elections, and that's on page 29 of the Punch newspaper. 12 Nigerians nabbed in Ghana prostitution crackdown. That's on pages 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper. Tinubu names new NAHCON chair as Hajj disruption fears mount, and that's on page 12 of the Punch newspaper. Cybercrime court jails 2 Chinese directors 92 years, and that's on pages 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper. And lastly, El Rufai anticipates arrest as police detain allies, and that's on page 29 of the Punch newspaper.
All right, now joining us to review some of the headlines of the pages of today's national dailies is Editor-in-Chief, Dateline Nigeria Newspapers, Nasiru Lawan. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Good morning.
To be here. Good morning.
Absolutely. All right, let's start with Daily Trust. Right in front, we have U.S. terror tag on Kwankwanso and Fulani groups draw scrutiny. We've seen that 5 United States lawmakers on Tuesday proposed a bill seeking to impose sanctions, including a visa ban and asset freeze on former Kano State Governor Rabi Musa Kwankwanso, as well as Miete Allah cattle breeders and Miete Allah Kautal Hori. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, I don't know the information, the knowledge, or what they usually say, the intelligence at the disposal of the United States. To categorize Kwankwanso as, a person of interest and what have you. But honestly, I don't think, from what we know about the politician, he is not somebody you can, label as, with that terror tag. But like I said, they know probably what we don't know, and they will want to see the information that they are relying on to come up with this. And like so many people have, this stated already, this may have like a counter effect, on the personality of Kwankwanso. You remember when Muhammadu Buhari attended a gathering in Sokoto, and he spoke in Hausa, and then there was this reporter who does not understand Hausa, and he reported it in a way, that he thought that was the best way possible. And it had a counter effect because so many people began to see Buhari as a defender of the Islamic faith. And the same thing may happen with this scenario. And if probably they said the U.S. is not happy with him for defending Islam, then of course you should know what all these extremists, will now start thinking of. If this is the only person you can list, then probably he's even doing good by his own people. And then you also look at the Fulani groups they are talking about, the Miete Allah and the Kautal Hore. honestly, I don't see how that is going to affect them. If you are talking about militia, do they actually have like a militia? Do we know, members of these militia groups we are talking about? So honestly, it will be good for the U.S. to come out with the information that they have, even though I know the lawmakers' opinion does not necessarily reflect that of the U.S. state government, especially at this particular point in time. But if this information can come out, probably we'll now understand why they are now putting the name of Rabiu Kwankwanso alongside the Miyetti Allah and the other Fulani groups as people of particular concern.
Let's hear your view on this. Questions trail deployment of 200 U.S. troops to Nigeria. I mean, this is causing a lot of controversy. Questions have been asked over the latest revelation that the United States will deploy 200 troops to Nigeria to, help train our troops and then give also advisory advice or what have you. So what is your take on this?
Well, Nigerians are particular about the fact that we actually need support, from wherever we can get it to fight terrorism and other forms of criminality. But not many Nigerians are, okay with having U.S. soldiers, on ground, for things that we can actually maybe tackle, because this is about a local problem, even though they are giving it some international dimension. The fact that you have terrorists operating in the Sahel and other parts of Africa. But then I think this is something that Nigeria, as a country, can do it by its own self. So probably what we need, is support, especially technical support and what have you. And if you remember, sometimes we'll use our own money to buy weapons from the United States of America, but even to deliver these weapons, it will take like forever. So honestly, if we can get things like that, probably Nigerians will now begin to understand, yes, why the U.S. is particularly talking about Nigeria. But to say that you are bringing soldiers on ground, honestly, I don't see how they are going to change the tide, aside the fact that anywhere you have U.S. soldiers, all these terrorists that you are talking about, they find a way of, trying to, attack, like target them so that, they will be in the news. Because basically what terrorists want is to always be in the news, to show that they are beyond the governments cannot tackle them and what have you. So honestly, I don't think it's a good thing that we are having them on ground, because even the government has been saying it time without number that no, there will be no need for U.S. soldiers on the ground. Now we are having their presence. It was in the presence of the president actually that it was even confirmed. Now that they are here, we need to find a way of not ending up like other countries where the U.S. was there, and then after leaving, they are still in quagmire. We know what happened in Afghanistan and a number of countries. So I hope Nigeria will not also follow that line. Yeah.
All right, let's shift away from that and look at this headline: challenges before new NAHCON chairman. We've seen that I would call him the former NAHCON chairman, resigned due to allegations of misappropriation and as well as abuse of office. Now, we've seen different issues when it comes to the NAHCON, National Health Commission, as well as, marred with allegations of misappropriation and having to have the responsibility of being able to tackle the issues of conveying people during Hajj and all the processes that needs to be. And now we have a new chairman that has been appointed. What are your thoughts on it, and how do you think the proceedings of Hajj would be with this particular person in charge?
Well, I hope it will not affect, our preparations for the 2026 Hajj exercise. And like you said, so many people have already told the incoming chairman that's pending his confirmation by the Senate, because the allegations against the former chairman, some of the allegations are that he has sidelined, members of his own executive, the board members, and what have you. He was like running a one-man show, essentially. And then, every day you see one or two, bad publicity about NAHCON, and you tend to, you don't even know the difference between where the chairman's reputation begins and that of NAHCON also ends. So now that we have somebody about to enter that, I think he should rely on insiders, those that are already part of all the processes and procedures, so that Nigeria will not be affected by the resignation. Already, even the slots that we used to have like 90 or 95,000. Now they have reduced it to about 70,000 or so. So many things have changed, and it's good that they said this one has the experience. Like in the past, he has served as a secretary or so of Hajj. So he has the experience of, this kind of thing. But one thing we also need to be clear about, you don't need maybe a religious scholar, to head NAHCON. I know, performing pilgrimage is basically a religious affair, but then organizing
the process,
it's more of a logistics issue. So whoever knows how to, coordinate the movement from people from one point to another, whether he's learned in religion or not, honestly, he should be able to do that. So in appointing chairman of NAHCON in the future, maybe that's what the government should actually focus on. I know the ulamas will want one of their own to be part of it, because, like I said, they see it basically as a religious thing. But for us as a country, I don't think we should also see it along that prism. So what we should be doing is to make sure that we have people that are capable, with the capacity to do it, with the efficiency and skill, so that we don't end up with, having someone today and then in the next 2-3 months we're thinking of replacing him with another. Just look at what happened. When was Arabi, the chairman, and then after Arabi now you have, so honestly, the government should find a way of tackling this, and we don't have to, like I said, be considering religious Islamic scholars simply because Hajj is a spiritual affair.
Quickly, let's take a look at the Punch. Senator clash as Umahi Defense Ministry spending. So yesterday they had a budget defense session at the National Assembly, and it brought, a heated argument between the committee and the minister concerning accountability on the Kaduna-Kano road that is ongoing. So what's your take on this, being that, we have seen such sessions do end in confrontations, back and forth, and what have you? Is it that our leaders are not, comfortable when they are being asked questions as to transparency and accountability when it comes to them doing their jobs diligently?
Well, I hope, like so many people are saying, it's not about ego. The Minister of Works is also a former governor. He's also a former senator, just like Adams Oshomole and probably Danjuma Goje, who were also part of the committee. But asking people to be accountable, to show transparency in running government affairs, honestly, I don't see any problem with that. If you cannot withstand that, then why don't you just resign? Like they say, if you cannot withstand the heat
in the kitchen,
so you get out of it. So honestly, it's good that they are coming out to show Nigerians, whether it's just for the cameras or what have you, that they also worry about the resources that the government is investing, and then how they will ensure that those monies are being used the way they are supposed to.
All right. Thank you very much, Nasir Lowell, for reviewing the front pages of our national dailies this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Now with that, we've come to the end of Daybreak on Trust TV. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. so don't miss out on anything on Daybreak. I am Hawad and Kiara. Thank you for watching.
And I am Mimuna Bagudu. Follow us on all of our social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more news and programs. So have a great day.